Hi, and welcome to our Catholic Kitchen, where every month we test out new to us recipes from different Catholic cookbooks.
So this month we are going to be featuring St. Hildegard's Garden, which we did a full walkthrough of back in May in this video, but we have yet to try any of the recipes in this book, so today is the day.
So from this one, we're making the oat cakes with goat cheese, which is not the original recipe we had hoped to try from this book, but we'll explain what happened later.
And then in honor of the feast of St. Monica and St. Augustine coming up at the end of the month, we are trying this North African chicken tajine from the SB Living blog.
And then finally, August also brings us the Feast of St. Dominic. So in his honor, and because we just got this beautiful new picture book about him, we are going to be making mimosa mocktails because St. Dominic has a very neat connection with oranges. So we're starting today with the oat cake with goat cheese recipe, but as I said earlier, that wasn't the original plan.
So there is a lot that we love about this book. It's got beautiful illustrations and it's fascinating to read about the different plants and the different herbs. But the actual section for recipes to make like in the kitchen is very, very limited.
So from that limited selection, we had hoped to make the pear compote with chervil because that looked really yummy. And then even though it does call for things like licorice powder and ginger rhizomes, we have a Sprouts Farmers Market near us, and we knew that we could probably get those things there.
So that was all well and good. That was the plan. But then last night we were reading the directions a little bit more thoroughly, and we noticed some of the fine print at the bottom.
So it turns out that the pear recipe is not one that you can just make and eat and enjoy. It's actually a medication, which threw us because it is in the food section of this book and not in the pharmacy section, so heads up about that.
And it turns out that it's only recommended to eat 1 tablespoon of the compote twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, and that people with certain health conditions just shouldn't have it at all.
So we decided, you know what, we're just going to steer clear of that one and go with the laurel and almond cookies instead, but that didn't work out either.
That recipe, as it turns out, has a long list of ingredients and spices that we definitely don't have in the house and weren't sure we could even find at Sprouts, like wholemeal flour and galangal.
So that is how we arrived at the oat cakes. Hopefully those are going to be a go, but while we love this book, it's definitely not your typical cookbook.
So the ingredients that you need for the oat cakes are, of course, oats, milk, eggs, nutmeg, salt, and some fancy kind of cheese. I don't know how you say that.
It's goat cheese.
But it's goat cheese according to Google. So we just got some Gouda to use in place of the really fancy cheese that we couldn't find.
It's goat Gouda.
So we started by measuring out the oats just into a bowl, and then added the milk and let that sit for 30 minutes. Just mixed it up, set it aside. While that was going, we grated the cheese for later. And then when the oats were done, we combined the eggs, salt, and nutmeg along with the oats and mixed that all together. And then we just scooped out these little cakes onto our tray. And then topped those with cheese as the final step. And then we put them in the oven.
Okay, so next we have the North African chicken tajine from the SB Living blog, which is a wonderful website full of all types of recipes and beautiful pictures for liturgical living. Sylvia is the master chef over there. We'll link her website. It is definitely worth checking out.
And this recipe is full of so many different spices and flavors in a nod to North Africa, where St. Monica and St. Augustine lived. So to make this, you'll need olive oil, chicken thighs, you'll need an onion, chicken broth, dried apricots, chickpeas, and then a whole slew of spices. So you will need garlic, cumin, coriander, turmeric, and cinnamon. And then it says cilantro for a garnish, We don't have any cilantro, so we're just using some parsley.
So we started first by heating up some olive oil and browning our chicken thighs on both sides. And when they were done, we just took them out of the pan and set them to the side. And then we sauteed our onions and garlic. And then we started adding all of the different spices. Then we put the chicken thighs back in. And we added in the broth. Then we put in the cut up apricots and the chickpeas and stirred that all together. And then just covered it and let it cook.
And lastly, we are trying the mimosa mocktail because, as I said earlier, we just found out recently that St. Dominic has a neat connection to oranges.
So at St. Sabina Church in Rome, there is an orange tree growing there that is said to have been planted by St. Dominic himself back in 1222. And so according to tradition, that was the first orange tree ever planted in Italy.
So it's still there, it's still growing. That would make it over 800 years old, which does seem unlikely, but we know that trees can repropagate themselves from root systems and cuttings. So it is possible that the current tree is a descendant of the original tree. We don't know, we're not scientists, but one thing we do know, it's St. Dominic, so anything is possible.
And so going off of that, it is August, it's 1,000,000 degrees out. So a refreshing orange drink sounds really good about now. So we're going to be trying the mimosa mocktails. And to make that, you only need 2 ingredients. You need orange juice and a sparkling beverage of your choice. The recipe suggests a mango apple sparkling cider. What we have is just plain apple. And then optionally, you can also have a fresh orange to use as a garnish.
So first we just cut up our fresh orange to have a fun little garnish for the drink. Then we added in the orange juice to each glass and some of the sparkling cider. And then we just put our garnish right on the side.
Here we are at the taste testing part, which is the best part of the video. However, spoiler, it has not gone well with the oatcake, so we're kind of wishing that the mocktails were real and not mock. But anyway, so traditionally on the Feast of St. Dominic, you raise your glass in a toast to St. Dominic. So here's to St. Dominic orange juice. It's good. Probably could
use the alcohol.
Yeah, probably could use a little more of the sparkling cider. It's not super sweet, but kid-friendly. What a fun thing to do on the Feast of St. Dominic. Surprise your kids in the morning with mimosa mocktails. Okay, so we're going to try the oatcakes now. We're
A little skeptical.
It could be delicious. We have a taste tester over to the side. He was not looking ecstatic, so oh boy, here we go.
They don't smell right.
It's not bad. I guess that's what you can say. It's not bad.
It's not bad, but it tastes like bland oatmeal.
The cheese really makes it. If you don't have the right cheese, the cheese is giving it all of its flavor.
Which still isn't much.
It's healthy, I'll give you that, because it has oatmeal and cheese and eggs. This is going to be a hard sell for your non-oatmeal fans. That's about all
It
we
would
can
need
say.
to be smothered in cheese to be good.
I'm okay with it. I'm not going to make it again, I don't think. Okay, so our chicken is done. It does smell fabulous.
Yes.
Yes, it does. Mm-hmm. And I like chickpeas, so... It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe it could use a touch of salt.
More salt.
But it's something different, at least at our house. So okay, we're gonna give you a rundown of each recipe and what we thought. The mimosa mocktails, very good.
Okay.
Quick, easy, fun, perfect tradition to start for the Feast of St. Dominic. So that was definitely a go.
Yeah. The chicken, also very easy and quite good as well.
Yes, a little more salt and it was perfect.
Yeah.
Monica and Augustine, can't go wrong with them. And then the oat cakes. They're bad. Not bad,
but not good.
very filling. Kind of like a baked oatmeal. It's not really a scone or a biscuit.
It's just a lump of baked oatmeal with very little seasoning.
Okay, and we did have some issues with the recipe itself because it didn't tell us what degree temperature to set the oven. Also, it didn't say whether we should grease the pan or put it on parchment paper. We just winged it. Not a big deal, but
Some of the other recipes I noticed did have temperatures to bake at, so I'm not sure where we went wrong here. Why that didn't happen, but I didn't put this book together.
Looking back, I'm glad we didn't spend a lot of money buying the spices and herbs that we would have needed for some of the other dishes because it might have been a big investment and not
a good return.
Not a good return. But if you already have the herbs and spices at home, like if you're really knowledgeable about herb lore, go for it. Try those other recipes and let us know.
So I have to say the chicken was my favorite.
I'm going to agree with Kate because, again, different, fun, easy, smells so good, right? And then after that, the mimosa, and
then the oat cake.
Sorry, St. Hildegard, you go on being a doctor of the church. And okay, so that's a wrap on our time in the kitchen today.
So let us know down in the comments if you would try any of these recipes, or if you maybe have tried something out of this cookbook. Let us know how that went.
So we always love having you come along with us in the kitchen. We thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.